Hey, and welcome to the Izzy Chinche Show.
Even we see these U17 players signing pro contracts. Things that they signed like a year ago? No. They've been working their butts off since they were 8, 9, 10 years old.
I am so pumped that you tuned in. My goal with the show is to inspire and motivate you to the best of my abilities. I believe our world needs more leaders, and I believe that you, my listener, are a leader, and that you have the opportunity to impact your community and family by simply being you. I truly am here to try and serve and offer value to your life. And if you enjoy the show, it would mean the most to me if you could please either rate, subscribe, or share the show with anyone who you think might benefit from listening. Together, we can make this world a better place. So thank you so much for listening, and I hope you love today's episode. Jessica, welcome to the show. Thanks for joining.
Hi, thanks for having me.
Yeah, why don't you start with giving a little intro on who you are and what you do?
So I do all the things. My name is Jessica Montiel. I am a soccer coach for literally every age. So I coach the 77 kids at my club. I coach high school soccer, and I am also a college assistant coach. So I do all the things. And I also have two beautiful babies. I have a 6-year-old and an 8-year-old. So I'm very busy.
I love it. Yes, yes. But busy is good, especially in the soccer world. We love to have a lot going on. Can you tell me a little bit about how you got into coaching and what inspired you to start to be a coach and continue to coach?
Yeah, I didn't want to coach at all.
Okay.
So when I left college in 2006, I'm sure you hear this from most athletes and most people. It was just like I hated soccer. I wanted nothing to do with the sport. I was really just in a bad place.
Oh, wow.
And so I really didn't want to play soccer. I didn't want anything to do with it. And then my husband and I went to rival high schools, and we thought it'd be fun one year to go to a football game. And my coach was there who happened to still be coaching. And he was like, "Hey, you want to coach the freshman team?" And I was like, "Absolutely not." And he's like, "Are you sure?" And I'm like, "Yeah, I'm good." And I had just started like my grown up job. I had gotten my insurance license, and I on that path. And then I couldn't stop thinking about it. And I was like, this won't go away. So I thought about it, thought about it. I called my coach, and I'm like, okay, I'll do it. And so I went out there, and literally from the first moment I was out there, I think I told somebody to open their foot so they could play with the inside of their foot. And I was like, why haven't I been doing this my entire life? And it,
Wow.
it was just a bug, and it just got me. And then from then, I just kind of threw myself into coaching, like literally all the things. I was coaching at a high school, and then the assistant coach at the time was at my old club, and he took me there. He got me an assistant coaching job there, and then the next year I was a head coach, and it just kind of went from there. And I wanted anything and everything to do with the sport. I just wanted to keep learning. Literally, anytime there's like a session or a seminar or something, like I think I did like a concussion seminar one of the first couple years, I just because it was like something to do. And so
Yeah.
yeah, I'm just like just wanted just be in the soccer world as much as I can.
I love that. I had no idea that that's how you felt after you. I would not have guessed that. Tell me a little bit about that. Why do you think that is?
um I think one of the big things is what I try to preach to my players now, that they're bigger than soccer, they're more than soccer, they're not just a soccer player. My whole life, I was just a soccer player. I like knew people at my high school, but if you were to go and ask anybody I graduated with, they're like, "Oh, the girl that played high soccer. Oh yeah, she plays soccer," and like that's just who I was. I was the only girl from my club team to go on and keep playing. I like went on and played in Arizona and New Mexico, and it was just like the most random places. looking back now, I'm like, I couldn't believe I did all that, but it's who I thought I was. And so when somebody, the NCAA, says you can't play anymore, that sucks. Like, it's one thing to go out on your own. It's one thing to be like, all right, I'm done playing. I'm ready for the next step. I'm ready for this. But when you don't feel like you're done playing and there's still some in the tank and you're like, but I can't, what do you mean I can't play anymore? And yeah, I could play in women's leagues and I could do all these things, but like back then there wasn't anything like to aspire to. There wasn't the NWSL. The WPSL had actually just broken up, and so like there was nothing to do. And so in my mind, like, I'm done. Like, what else am I? Like, what else am I? I'm a soccer player, but there's no soccer. And women's leagues weren't the same. It wasn't playing competitively for a college or for a team or something bigger than you. It was just like you showed up on Wednesdays and played, and that was it. So yeah, I really just was like angry at the sport. I was in a really bad place mentally, and just like coaching was the last thing I wanted to do.
Wow.
I had a bunch of like thoughts that was wrong about. I thought that I would be frustrated with like the level of play if it wasn't high enough, or like, things like that. And that just wasn't the case at all. From the second I stepped on the field, it was just completely different from what I thought. And it made me re-fall in love with the sport all over again, because it was a new asset to it. And but I really was just like not happy. And I talked to a lot of my former collegiate friends and like from all sports, and I think they all kind of felt that way to an extent, which is why a lot of them still coach or have trainings or have their own thing, or finding their own path in the sports world, which I think is awesome. But yeah, it's really hard. And back then when we didn't have all this, right? We didn't have Instagram. We didn't have a platform that we could talk to other people about and connect with other people about. It was just like, and I was in New Mexico from San Diego. And so as soon as I was done, I was like, I'm going home. Like, what's the point of being out here? Like, I'm just going to go home. And so I did. And then I was super isolated because nobody out here understood what my last 4 years were like. And so it was just a really weird place to be for a 22-year-old.
Yeah, wow. I kind of had a similar experience in like the identity piece. I think,
Mm-hmm.
and as you mentioned, a lot of athletes struggle with that. And it's sad. And that's why like now as a coach, I think it's good that we actually had those experiences, because now we're working to kind of combat that and be like, okay, you're not just a soccer player, and you have a whole identity. Nurture that and express to them, because I mean, as a player on the other end, you know how that feels to be like, this is the only thing that I have. This is my entire identity. And then once that's gone, you're like, oh my gosh, who
Now,
am I
totally,
now?
totally. It's and I feel like it's everybody, especially like so completely different standard. But like Christy Mewis, like she was talking about, like she has this knee injury and she's like, she doesn't want to be done, but her body wants her to be done. So to me, again, that's having to stop doing what you love because somebody else is telling you, right? Even if it's her knee that's telling her, it's not her brain or her heart saying we're done. And so I think every athlete at some point kind of goes through that when we're done.
Yeah. Yeah. It's so, yeah, it's hard. I always call it like a breakup. It's a
Yes.
emotional
Oh my
breakup.
God.
That's how I've been
Yeah.
referring it. It's a
That's a great
break.
way to put it. It is totally
Because
a breakup.
it's a loss. It's this loss of this identity. And
Mm-hmm.
when we go through breakups, it's a loss because that person, your relationship wasn't what you thought it was going to be, because if it was, you'd still be together. And it's that same thing. It's like, this is broken, and we've broken up with this identity, and it's painful and it's hard. But I'm so happy that like other coaches are talking about this, because the percentage of players that, even if they do get to go pro, that
Hmm.
that road still ends. And it's not that long, right? Like it's not, I mean, you're really, really lucky if you hit like what, mid, like early 40s and you're still playing. Like that's extreme.
Extreme.
That would be like so extreme. That's not that long, to
Mhm.
like you still have your entire other life after that.
Oh,
And
so
cultivating,
much.
yeah, so much life and it's tough. So how have you kind of tried to implement like identity outside of soccer within your coaching to your players?
Um, I'm at the youngest ages. When we take breaks, like I tell parents, don't touch a soccer ball. Like go ride your bike, go swimming, go do all the things that you don't have time to do when you're playing soccer 24/7. Um, I think encouraging them to get together outside of soccer is really big. My little 2017s, they do something for like every holiday, and it's so cute. Their favorite game is musical chairs, and because they all just learned how to play it. Um, and it's the cutest thing ever. But they get together outside of it and they are not playing soccer and they're not, or if they are, it's because it's fun because they picked up the ball themselves and they're outside playing together, but it's not coach led, parent led. It's really just they get together and get to enjoy each other outside of soccer and understand that like there is more to soccer. um and I think at the older ages, one is knowing what their goals are. I think that's huge because if somebody is aspiring to go pro, then why aren't we going to facilitate and foster that? And we can still do that with showing them that their identity isn't just soccer. And then there's the kids that, don't want to go pro or are just going to play in high school. Um, and when they're like, Coach, I can't make this class because I'm playing the clarinet for the band. Go, enjoy, have so much fun. I have a girl who's been doing a bunch of she wants to go to the Naval Academy, and so she's been missing for like ROTC meetings and interviews and things, and I'm like, yep, enjoy. And it's not like you're in trouble. It's not like you're missing plane. Like, you're not. I'm not upset with you for these things, and I'm not. I'm
Mm,
not. You know, saying, well, what are you doing that for? We're supposed to have a game. Like, you're a starter. What are you talking about? Like, no. Like, their lives are bigger than me, my team, us winning, like any of that. And so I think a big thing I'm big on is reflecting and checking in. And like my high school team, I asked them all to send me a reflection after every game. And in those reflections, like you can see, like I didn't sleep well last night, so I, don't think I was as ready for the game. I was at camp all weekend, and then, I don't think I should have came to practice on Monday. Like all these things to really just, yes, you're right. You shouldn't have came to practice on Monday, and it would have been totally fine. Maybe you wouldn't have started on Tuesday, but your body would have been more prepared for Tuesday. And so just caring about them outside of their sport and like what they do and who they are as a person, like they'll text me random like videos of just, them like, we love you, coach, or whatever. And like, cool. Like, I'm not gonna be like, oh, why are you sending me this? Like, why are you, and there are some coaches like that.
Yeah.
And I get it. There's a line, that you don't cross, but I also think that I don't ever cross that line, so it's not a big
Right.
deal. But yeah, I think the biggest thing is just knowing them outside of soccer and reminding them that they are people outside of soccer.
I love that. I think that's really good because I think that's easy to get caught up in, especially when you are in a season and these kids have other commitments and you're nearing it and they have something. I gotta like check myself on that. I also coach high school, so and having a positive response, like it's not that they were going to the movies with their friends. They had that other thing that matters to them, and I think
Exactly.
you set a really good example in that. And I'm like, okay, I got to think about that for next season.
Yeah, I mean, and then also high school soccer, like they do so many other things. Like it's, why not let them have fun in doing everything else? Like especially the girls out here, like they're so committed to their development and their club teams and ECNL and GA and DPL and all the things. And they want, they're also doing their extra trainings and they're going to, their fitness classes and they're going to this and they're going, like if during high school you want to do steel drums because that looks interesting to you, like go do steel drums, like you know what I mean? So it just yeah, I think we just need to make sure that we remind them that they're people outside of soccer.
Yeah, I love that. Did you, looking back on your college experience, did you have any voices of people that were trying to kind of nudge you in that direction that you just couldn't hear then if you look back, or you feel like, no, it wasn't talked about?
No, I don't think it was talked about. Like
Yeah.
I remember when I went to Eastern New Mexico University for my 4 year, and we did intramurals. Like the soccer team did like softball intramurals, and they wanted to sign up for volleyball intramurals, and they're like, "Didn't you ever play?" I'm like, "No, like, no. When was I? Like, one, I'm 5 foot, so no, I wasn't playing volleyball anywhere. Um, and two, like, I played soccer. Like, I played soccer my whole life. Like, that's what I did. That's who I was. That's what I come from a low income family, so it wasn't like I had a lot of money to try all these different sports and do all these different things. So no, I didn't. And then in high school, like I wasn't gonna do something I wasn't good at. So I'm just like, I'm play soccer.
Yeah.
So when I got to college and they're like, you never tried anything else, and I'm like, no. And then I tried it and I'm like, hey, softball's kind of fun, and so it was cool to like see that, and like, but I found that for myself. I didn't, and even now, like, oh my gosh, when COVID hit, my husband hates me. I was the worst. Like, I still had canvases that I didn't paint because I thought, you know what, maybe I'm gonna start painting, or maybe. But I never was like creative as a kid. Like, I wasn't a kid that just went and colored and like all this stuff, and like my kid does, so I love it, and I like feed into that as much as I can. And like literally last night we sat and made friendship bracelets together because like she wanted to do that, and so I didn't know myself outside of soccer. I didn't know if I liked to read. I didn't know if I like it. Obviously we can do all these things, but you didn't know if you enjoyed it. You didn't know if you. And honestly, what I learned is that I enjoy working out. I like moving my body. I like doing things for me, and that is okay because I struggled with that too. Because I was like, well, working out is just soccer. Like it's just you're still athlete, and I'm like, but I'm not. It's not the same. Like I go to a workout studio that I love. I love the instructor. She's amazing. The timing's perfect. It's super low level, but I get to move my body. I get to stretch. I get to, just for an hour, I'm just doing something for just me. And so I think I had to realize it's okay that even though it's still in like the athletic realm, I'm still doing something for me. But I never really had that growing up. Like I never really did it.
Wow.
That was my outlet, was soccer.
Yeah. Are you playing in leagues now, or you're like?
So I did. The last time I played was in 2019, and I ruptured my Achilles.
Okay.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so I have like I kick the ball around with the high school or the college girls, but like I have not played, and everyone's like, you should get back to playing. One for me, and my husband told us all the time, he's like, you should play, but like I'm so busy that committing to like an extra day of something is just like exhausting. So like if I'm like, oh, I have a free Sunday, and I'm like, damn it, I have a game now. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I don't want to get up for the game. I'd rather hang out with my family and just do this. So I haven't committed to playing with any leagues or anything like that. So maybe someday soon, but I don't have the time for it right now.
Yeah. What do you think are like probably like two or three of the biggest things that coaching has taught you?
Wow. Coaching has taught me so much, and even more in the last year. It has taught me that really you have to put yourself out there. You
Mm.
have to be brave. You have to get out of your comfort zone if you want to get better. There was a post on Twitter the other day that somebody, they were talking about um, basically players, you know, the underprivileged players that aren't being seen in ECNL, GA, the financial aspect that keeps them out of this world. And while I agree that we need to be allies for them and we need to find a way to make soccer available for everybody 100%, at the same time, like it's a grind. Nothing is given to you. Nothing in this world is handed to you. You have to fight every day, even no matter what it is you're fighting. Like you can be fighting something inside. Like you have to wake up every day and fight that feeling of staying in bed. You have to fight that feeling. Um, and I think that just knowing that is so important that it is a grind and you do have to put the work in. It's not just gonna happen and no one's gonna just
Yes.
give that to you. Um, even we see these U17 players signing pro contracts. You think that they signed like a year ago? Like, no, they've been working their butts off
Well,
since they were 8, 9, 10 years old. You know, Mel B didn't just wake up one day and had fancy feet and was like, oh, the waiver going to sign me. Like, no, like she has been working her butt off her whole life
yeah.
to get to where she's at.
Yeah.
And so I just feel like the instant gratification, what it looks like on
Mm.
Instagram and Twitter and all the things, um, it's just that's not real life. The
Yeah.
real life is the grind. Um, I had this conversation with somebody the other day. Oh, I think it was you. We were talking about the was it the graduation picture that I told you about?
No, I did not hear about
Oh,
that.
okay.
Oh, yeah,
So
you did. Yes, you did. Yes.
right.
Yeah.
So like right, everyone claps for that graduation picture, but who's clapping for you at 3 o'clock in the morning when you're up studying for that test? Who's helping you write that dissertation that's going to get you your master's? Like, who is clapping for you then? Everybody wants to clap for you when the picture comes out, but it's the work that got you there in the first place. And so I think that's a big thing for me is just like that if you have to be brave, you have to get out of your comfort zone to make change and to really help yourself grow and help yourself develop, to have that, because the coaching world is a grind.
Yeah.
We don't get paid enough. We have to coach multiple teams. We have to, you know multiple teams means multiple sets of parents, means multiple sets of all the things, right? Like all the training sessions, and I'm not the coach that just shows up and is like, okay, well, this is what I'm going to do today. Like, no, I literally can't. I have too much anxiety to do that. Like, if I show up to a training session and I'm not prepared, I'm like, what am I doing today? And I'm like so anxious about it. So I won't do that to myself. So I have to like be prepared for all that happening. And right now I'm in a club/high school season, so I'm in very different mindsets of where I am in my coaching. One day I'm watching film and breaking down the high school film and talking about tactics, and the other day I'm showing the girls how to do a step over. And so it's like there's so like my brain is in so many different places that I just need to be very organized.
Yeah.
And I think that's another thing that coaching has really taught me, that you have to be prepared. Like you can't just show up and be good. Like it doesn't work that way. You have to be prepared. You have to be ready. You have to put the work in.
Yeah.
And so yeah, that's another thing that's really showed me that, coaching, you have to do that. And the last one is really anything can happen. Like if you believe in yourself and if you believe in what you're doing and what you're about, like anything can happen.
Yes.
And I don't know if I shared how I got my C license with you. Did I share that?
I want to hear it.
Oh my gosh, it's the craziest story. So my friend reaches out and we had gotten our D together and he's like, hey, the C license is open. You can go do it. I'm like, yeah, totally. I totally have $1,400 a month after Christmas with 2 kids and a mortgage. I totally have $1,400 to do my C license right now. Not at all. So I jokingly put on Twitter, does anybody want to gift me $1,400 for my C license? And I didn't know this at the time because I didn't know him at the time. But Zach Crawford, who's actually the U.S. Soccer technical director, wrote curriculum for U.S. Soccer, retweeted it, and said, coaching education is an investment. I'm in $100. Is anybody else? And that was on a Tuesday. And by Thursday night, I had all the money in my Venmo from probably about 30 different people sending
Wow.
me money from like $20 to $100.
Wow.
Insane. I was like, are you joking? Because I was joking. Like,
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
I was joking. And it like, I don't know, as a parent, I tell my kids, like, you can do anything in this world, but like, it's hard to like actually believe that.
Yeah.
But after that happened, I was like, you can literally do anything in this world if you believe in yourself and you believe in what you're about. And like, I genuinely believe that I'm a good person and I put good things out there. And I like my word of the year this year is impact because I just want to make an impact in everything that I do.
Yeah.
So yeah, those are the biggest things that coaching has taught me. And I think the last one is probably the most important because before last year, I didn't believe in myself.
Wow. That is so cool. What a
Crazy,
cool
right?
story. Yeah.
Crazy.
That is really, really awesome. Yeah. And just people want to help, you put it out there and people do want to help.
Yeah.
I think there are a lot of great, generous, kind, impact driven people. And when I
Mm-hmm.
see like posts where people say like, oh, people suck, like people are so, I'm like, who are you looking for? Because I
Why are you with those people?
I feel like I'm
Totally.
with cool people all the time, and I hear more stories like that. I'm like, yeah, people they care. People care and they want to help. And that's so cool that you were able to do that in that
It was
way.
wild. It was literally wild.
Yeah.
It was
Yeah.
the craziest thing
Well,
ever.
yeah, was your husband surprised?
He was just like, seriously? Because he's seeing the Venmo, like he's seeing all the notifications come in, and he's like, seriously, Jessica? I'm like, I don't know what is happening right now. Like, I literally don't know what is happening right now. And I didn't share like Twitter's kind of like my space. Like that's my coaching space. That's my like where I connect with a lot of coaches and kind of where I'm more like myself. Where Instagram and Facebook, I'm just kind of like I post for family and friends and kind of stuff.
Yeah.
I did not repost that anywhere. Like I did not post that on my Instagram. I did not post it on my Facebook. Like I
Yeah.
didn't post it anywhere except Twitter. It was all on Twitter. It was wild. Like I could not believe like some people I'd never even like met or followed or anything. Just like it was starting to show up in their feed because of different coaches that I follow, and it just yeah, it was insane.
That's awesome. I love that. And that's cool because like just it inspires you to like continue, whenever you have the opportunity, like you're gonna give that back and then we just
Totally.
create a circle. Okay, so then on the other side, what are some of your 3 principles that like you like to teach that are important? Like if a player is leaving from working with you, what are the 3 things that you want to know they have dialed in?
The biggest first and foremost is 1v1s. I think you need to be able to attack and defend a 1v1 because they're all over the field. And so I am very big on this technique. And even if it's 5 minutes before practice, like they
Mhm.
have to get touches. And at the high school, the older girls, we kind of have to incorporate it into their warm up because they're a little bit more, it's
Yeah.
not as fluid. But for my, like the youngers, like if you cannot take somebody on 1v1, like I haven't done my job yet. I
Yeah.
have not done what I needed to do to teach you that.
Yeah.
The second is reflecting so that you can know. And even at the youngest ages, like, did you feel that was a good pass? Like, you can teach a kid something as simple as that. That didn't feel right, right? That
Yeah.
it didn't it tweaked a little bit, right? It was a little uncomfortable, right? Now try kicking it with this part of your foot. And so I think just being able to reflect and know your body so that you can do what's being asked of you, that's huge. And I think that also gives kids the autonomy over asking questions and giving them the confidence to be able to ask questions. Hey, coach, this doesn't feel right. Like, am I doing it right? Instead of just doing it wrong because I think coach wants me to do this wrong. So I think that is another really big thing for me. And then it's literally so crazy. It's squeeze and expand. Um, in the back we squeeze, in the front we expand. And I think that at every single level it's the same way. Um, the first principle of defending is to organize, and if you squeeze and organize and talk, you've got that taken care of. And again, we know how to do 1v1s, so if we need to step out on a 1v1, we are confident in being able to step out on a 1v1. So I think for me, those are the three big technical, tactical things that I want my players to take away from me.
Yeah. I think that's so true. I mean, I constantly ask the kids that I work with, to say, who here is confident in your 1v1 skills? Raise your hand. And it's shockingly low. It is
Mm.
so rare that I actually have a kid just raise their hand and go, me, I'm confident in my 1v1 skills. And I'm like, man, who is coaching you? Because that that's soccer, right? That is like almost like the basic like of soccer is to be able to get the ball by someone and continue up the field, right? Like
You
that,
need one skill. You just
yeah.
need one skill mastered. That's it.
Yes, yes, and it's simply not drilled enough, right? Because they're like, oh, we gotta work on your first touch, we gotta work on your long balls, gotta work on your shooting, your crossing, your finishing. And I'm like, yeah, but can you
Like the
even?
special.
Yes, yes, but and also just for kids, like, because I teach a lot on recruitment and how to play on. I'm like, in every single ID camp that you ever go to, they will section you off and you will practice 1v1s. Like like and as and the goalkeepers too, you're gonna have to defend, right? And like and defenders and field players, like we're attacking. It is gonna be there, and like you will be put on the spot, and so
Mm.
it's not negotiable to be good and confident in them. Like it's a must. You
Yeah,
have to. And
you
sometimes,
have to be able to do it. And like I see it even at like U.S. national team and pros. Like there's so many just like one-dimensional players. That's why it's kind of fun to see like the Mel B's coming up because they've got a little flair in them and they've got they want to go at you 1v1. And those are my favorite players to watch. So I just think it's not like, oh, let me just be faster, stronger, and bigger than you. I'm gonna be smarter than you. And so being able to, and I think that also being able to give them the confidence with the ball at their feet without having to look at it, it changes the game for them. I mean, I have a player at the high school right now that she is incredible 1v1, defending and attacking, but she struggles after about the third touch. And it's because she looks up, touch, 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 and we run into problems. So today during futsal, I said, touch, touch, eyes up. And literally scored a goal with her first possession of the ball. And I'm like, that's all it is. Like, you just have to look up after. And if players are confident with the ball at their feet, they can see so much more in the game.
Yeah. No, that also speaks to your coaching that you can actually break that down and tell that to a player because, I see coaches, I think even sometimes when like you're playing against another team and the coach, like you hear them screaming the most like vague instructions and you're just like, what does that mean? They're like, you should probably organize in the back. Like, I don't know, just something so vague and so,
I was dying. I coached against somebody a while back, and like they were, like it was like, oh, what were they saying? It was like, get wide, get open, get high. Like it was like all these like parentisms, and I was in my head. I was like, come on, you got another one in you. You got another one in you, and I'm just like laughing in my head because I'm like, at any point are you going to give an instruction? Like at any point are you going to tell them what that means? Like, go on,
yeah.
go on.
Yeah, exactly. No, but it's good when I hear it too, because then it makes me remember, like, okay, are you saying things like that? Like, I with myself, I'm like, am I giving clear instructions? But yeah, no, I love that. So that's just a sign of good coaching, being able specifically and speak to each player how
Yeah.
they need to be spoken to. Like
Yeah.
kids don't all learn the same. And then also, like the head coach, the other head coach at the high school, we have such a great dynamic. It's like, hey, you connect better with so and so. You want to talk to them on this? He's like, yeah, I got that. I'm like, and then he'll come to me the same thing, like, why don't you connect? You got a better relationship there. And I'm being able to be like,
Absolutely.
you can manage that conversation. I'll manage this one. And like,
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. 100%.
yeah, knowing that about your athletes, like how do they respond? Who do they respond to better? Like, who's going to deliver this in the best way? And it's
Who's gonna tell her?
Totally. Exactly. And it's funny because some coaches they can only speak one way to what like a certain type of player, and I'm like, unless you have a team of robots, this isn't gonna work, and we got to figure out another way. We got to resonate.
That's why a lot of like the old school coaching is just not. It's not there anymore, and you can't just scream at kids anymore, like, and you shouldn't have, like, ever, but but you can't do that anymore. People used to think like, oh, he screams, he's a good coach, or he disciplines my kids, he's a good coach. Like, no, that's your job. Like, I tell my parents, you don't need to ask them how the game went. You don't need to ask them anything, because you're the bad guy. Let me be the bad guy. You could be the good guy. Go home, ask what's for dinner, what kind of ice cream they want. Like, that's what they need. Even like I've had parents ask their players, even like in the sweetest, just like, oh honey, what happened out there? Like, just like, and it sounds so sweet, and you're like, but as a player, you're like, I don't want to tell you what happened out there. I don't want you to ask me what happened. I don't want to talk about it. I want to be pissed off and be mad and then move on. You're supposed to be the person who just loves me, whether I did good or bad.
Yeah.
And then as asking as simple as like you think you're asking it with so much love. It's just the fact that you're asking it all. Like, you don't need to. You don't need to ask. That's my job.
Wow.
And I think that's really important. And if we can do that with more of our players and teach that to more of our parents, I think that's a big shift in why kids quit and why they leave at 12 and 13. And now, honestly, we're seeing it even younger because of how young players are playing competitive soccer now. Like,
the burnout,
they're quitting at 9 and 10. Like, it's crazy. Like,
9 and 10 when it's supposed to be a game. Yeah.
That was when you were supposed to start. Like, I didn't start playing comp until I was 14. So, so it's just, if we can remind everybody that this is a game, like, this is a game at the end of the day. And there's winners and there's losers, and we're all okay with all of it. Like, if we can get back to that, I think we would all be in a much better place.
Yeah. No, I agree. And I love that. And I do think that That is definitely a new way of thinking. That is not the old way. And it's funny. I have an amazing relationship with my dad now, but when I played when I was young, if it wasn't a good game, if it wasn't a good, it was like a miserable car ride home. Like, just what is wrong with you? Why did you do, And I'm lucky I was the kind of kid that like that didn't turn me away. That made me dig deeper and be like, okay, well, I'm gonna show you. I'm gonna score the most goals and be, be the best. And so for me, I'm actually grateful that it did go that way. But at the same time, like, I don't want that. I don't want parents doing that to other kids. It's like,
Yeah.
hey,
Well, because I mean, I also think you have to know your kid. Like, I
yes,
my kids and I know how I can talk to them. Um, it sucks being a coach and a parent, because that's really hard. But that's where I think that keeps me in check a lot because it reminds me, like, if I was coaching his team, like, what would I say to me? And like, just being in that sense as a parent, like, I know better than, and I like check my husband a lot about that because he will get upset about something, and I'm like, well, this is
yeah,
how I would do it, and he's like,
yeah,
okay. And then the opposite side of people always ask, like, is it hard to coach your daughter? And it's not, because I see 10 of her. Like, I don't see my kid and 9 other kids. I see
yeah.
10 girls who I'm going to treat exactly like I would treat my daughter. And
Oh, yeah,
so, I think that if we just have to remember, like, it's not about us. Like, it's
yes,
literally not about us. Like, none of this. Like, we had our time. And when the girls at the high school and the college, are struggling, and they're struggling to get motivated and play, and I'm like, listen, I can't put my boots on anymore. You can.
yeah,
And it's a different dynamic that I can say that to. Like, I did my work, but I also wish I could still keep going back and doing it. So
yeah,
enjoy what you have. Um,
yes,
so just having that, is really, I think, a good, having that mentality of both sides to it, which is important, why more players need to become coaches, because we can understand that, right?
yeah,
Like, be the coach you wish you had.
yeah. I love that. I love that. Yeah, I remember when my coach told me he was like, "I wish I could be doing what you guys are doing right now. Like, so
Mm-hmm.
get up there and enjoy it." He'd be like, "You got like in college, he's like, you're gonna have this is gonna be a good game. You're gonna get to play under the lights. You have a big crowd here. Enjoy it because I wish I could be doing that." And I remember he told me that I was like, "Oh my gosh, like." He really does wish he could be doing this, and now as a coach, I'm like, I know exactly how that feels. Where you're like, dude, if I could be doing this, I would. So
Totally.
yeah, treat it like an opportunity because it is.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, and then keeping them inspired. Okay, so what are some of your goals moving forward with coaching?
Holy moly, what a loaded question. Um, I don't know. I keep telling myself I need to figure out a path and, like, go all in on that.
Mhm.
But I'm really good at all the things that I do. And so it's hard to pick a path.
Yeah.
I absolutely love coaching 7v7. Um, the development just happens so fast, and they're just little sponges, and when you see them playing and it all coming together, like, it's so fun. It's so fun. Um, but I also know that coaching 7v7 is not sustainable for the rest of my life.
Yeah.
Um, so I would like to impact and somehow pass that on, whether I am mentoring other coaches in 7v7, whether I'm a coaching educator,
Mhm.
whatever it is. So that's one path. Um, I really do enjoy the college world just because it's a whole different, like, environment and world, and everything that goes with it. But I also am looking to coach professionally, and college kind of are clashing right now. So like that's not really a way, like, so I'm trying to decide still like what that looks like for me. Because yes, they could coincide and they could go together, but also they could not. And so I don't really know yet. I've been working with a couple different programs behind the scenes, just doing some coaching development with a couple different pathways that I'm not ready to share yet, but it would be exciting if that is the way that it goes.
Yeah.
So yeah, right now I'm just kind of still just letting it all come in and just soaking it in and trying to make the biggest impact I can in literally everything.
I love it. I love it. That's what we need. We need more of that impact driven coaches and just people in the world. So thank you so much for joining today. This was great.
Thank you for having me. It was fun.
Yeah, it was fun for sure.
Thank you for listening. I really hope you enjoyed today's episode. If you did, I would greatly appreciate if you could share this episode with 5 people you think could benefit from the show. Also, please feel free to connect with me on Instagram at IzzyChinche or my website at izzychinche.com. Thank you so much for being you. Keep being a leader and making this world a better place.